Hello and welcome to the Cologne podcast. My name's Myck.
And I'm Bryan.
And we're just two best friends going on a journey, a fragrance journey, just kind of smelling stuff and sharing our uneducated opinion. I like to talk a lot.
And I like to fucking swear a lot.
And normally he laughs a lot in the background as well. So, which some people find endearing and some people find annoying. I'll let you choose. What are we smelling today?
Today, Myck, we are smelling Club de Nuit Urban Man Elixir.
Wow, it's another one of those flankers, is it? Right.
It is.
So, I owned this fragrance, you own this fragrance. I must admit, I don't own it anymore, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. But I wore it a lot, I enjoyed it. No, it doesn't bode well, but we'll find out later. What were your sort of first impressions of this fragrance?
Well, before I even smelled it, I thought, okay, another Club de Nuit fragrance. Urban Man Elixir sounds a bit naff, doesn't it? It's not a particularly great sounding name, I don't think.
Well, the first time I ever sort of knew this fragrance existed was in one of the Facebook groups. Somebody had shared an image of it, and I swear to God, I thought they were trolling. I thought they would, they edited the image to put them, because what the full name is Club de Nuit Intense Man Urban Elixir something. I honestly thought it was a piss take where they just put on all these extra names onto the fragrance, and I actually Googled it and realised it was a real thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, some would argue that the bottle designs in themselves could be piss takes because the jury's out on whether it is a nice bottle design or not. I would describe it as a brutalist style bottle design, and because it's so bad and so sort of awful, I kind of like it for that. I'm imagining that they did that on purpose, that they've made it so ugly, even with little diamonds. I imagine they've done all that on purpose, and I like that they've done that on purpose.
It is chintzy as fuck. That is another way of saying it. It is chintzy. And as you say, they've sort of stood by it. They've doubled down. They've gone balls deep on that, and they've committed to that across the whole range. So fair play to them on that one.
Yeah.
Well, my first impression before I even smelt it is I saw somebody described it as a mixture of Aventus and Sauvage. So I was thinking, well, obviously this is going to be a mass appealing fragrance, like a pineapple-y Sauvage. But that's not the case. So when I very first smelt it, I was surprised how little of Aventus I picked up and how much Sauvage. It's very Sauvage dominant for me when I first smelt it. I was like, okay, because I'm not a big Sauvage fan, actually.
Right. You like the parfum of Sauvage, though, I think, don't you?
I do, yeah. Yes, I do. That's my favourite version because they dialed down the sort of ambroxy, and I don't even know if it was officially listed, but it was just a sort of nicer, fruitier, softer, easier going version. So I liked the parfum version. So when you first smelt this, what was your impressions then?
Well, I thought pretty much the same as you. On first spray, I thought that is massive Sauvage. All the Sauvage vibes. I'm not really picking up much on Aventus. I wasn't getting any pineapple or birch or anything like that. As it started to dry down a little bit after maybe 15, 20 minutes, I thought, okay, yeah, I can get a little bit of the Aventus thing going on in there, but it was still dominated by the Sauvage smell. So in the dry down, I thought the Aventus DNA came out a little more. But then in the far dry down, it sort of reverted back to a strong Sauvage smell, like you would associate with the EDT. That is, known for pretty much beast mode performance in an EDT as well. So, yeah, Sauvage dominant, little flickers of Aventus. For me personally, I would have liked a little more Aventus DNA popping up in there.
Some people have said in the deep, dark depths of the dry down, they get a little bit of Baccarat Rouge 540. Do you get that at all? I never did.
No, that didn't occur to me.
No, me neither.
I'm not sure why they would have gone with that anyway. No. Why wait until the deep, dark ending of a dry down? You've done your work day, you get home, you just, having your dinner or whatever. Why only then unlock the Baccarat Rouge DNA? And they've just released another one that is sort of very much inspired by Baccarat Rouge anyway. So, yeah, I don't see why they would have done that. And yeah, like you, I don't get that either, Myck.
I agree with you, though. Your summary, I get loads of Sauvage in the opening, but it is actually very smooth and very enjoyable. I do really enjoy the opening, which is, I don't find it too cloying or get to my throat. Like the Sauvage EDT, I find is
it's not screechy.
Too much. No, it's not screechy. It's very smooth. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, as it starts drying down, it gets a little bit more woody. Like you say, I get like a little bit more of a, maybe like a nod to Aventus. I can't even say there's like an Aventus smell like as such. So in that regard, I was a little bit disappointed because I was expecting like a pineapple sauvage, which is not what I got. I did actually really enjoy it, but I have an issue with ambroxan. Now you're an ambroxan fan, aren't you? You've got one of the molecule fragrances.
I don't mind Molecule O2. I don't mind the ambroxan. I can't say that it's ever offended me in any way. And a lot of the time, the ambroxan heavy fragrances are the ones that kind of get loved and noticed from people that you just come into contact with on a day-to-day basis. You know, if it's pulling in a few compliments, then that's fine by me.
Yeah, the issue I have with ambroxan, and somebody summed this up well for me, is when I first apply it in the morning, I really enjoy it. Come the afternoon, the time I get home from work, it's still there because it performs really well with this fragrance and many ambroxan heavy fragrances, but it starts to grate on me. And I sort of described this once in one of the Facebook groups, and somebody said, that's the ambroxan effect. They said, I love it until I hate it. And I think that sums it up for me. Like, I apply it in the morning with this fragrance, I really enjoy it. I think, I'm smelling really good. Come the afternoon, I want to punch myself in the face. It really starts grating on me, and it's annoying. The next day, if I wore it the next day, I put it on in the morning and I'm back to square one. I'll really enjoy it again. It's literally just something. I don't think it's the fragrance changing and developing. I think it is just that effect that has effect on my senses. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. So I think what exacerbates that actually is it's so long lasting. This for me is a fairly beastly fragrance, just like Sauvage EDT. It lasts and lasts. And I do love the EDT quite a lot. And even wearing that, it would last that long that by the end of a day, 8 to 10 hours, I was almost getting a little bit sort of, I'm done with this now for the day. Whether that's the ambroxan effect, I don't know, but I think it's a relatively sort of linear fragrance. I don't think it changes. You mentioned changing and developing. I don't think it does change and develop that much.
No.
So maybe when you're in the company of a scent that stays, in one form for many hours, maybe it's just a natural thing that by the end of the day, you're going to be ready to get the scent off you. So maybe it's that, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. The question I asked myself, and it took me a while to answer this, is which is my favourite Sauvage-esque fragrance? And I've always been a big fan of Prada Luna Rossa Carbon as my favourite version of Sauvage, which sounds like a contradiction, but you know what I mean. And I just trying to decide if I prefer that to this. And initially I thought I prefer this one, the new Urban Elixir, but now I've decided I still think Prada Luna Rossa Carbon is my favourite take on Sauvage. I just really enjoy it with that sort of added lavender. I just really enjoy that.
Interesting. Speaking of elixirs, have you tried Sauvage Elixir?
I have. Oh, yes, I have. I have a long time ago, actually.
Quite a departure from the DNA of the other three Sauvage fragrances. It's a little bit different.
I need to revisit it because I did make a bit of a judgment on the opening, and I haven't really kind of revisited it and give it a proper wearing because it had that sort of licorice vibe to me, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, compared to the rest of the Sauvages, Elixir, it's got clackers. It's got some meat and heft to it. It's deeper.
Definitely got some meaty clackers.
Yeah, there's more going on. It's a more complex fragrance, so I really enjoy the Elixir for that.
It's more sort of more niche-like, isn't it? Out of all of them, definitely. And it's probably the one that can almost warrant the price tag that they're putting on this. So back to this one, the Urban Elixir, this one we're talking about here. Who's wearing this, Brian?
Well, Mick, I would say that this is definitely leaning towards youthfulness. I think younger people are going to love this fragrance. I think they're going to lap it up. I think they're going to get loads of compliments out in those clubs, those nightclubs and places that young people go. So I think it would suit someone from 18 upwards, really. But I would say that it's quite versatile in terms of who can pull this off. I think you could easily go up to age 50 and be able to pull this sort of fragrance off because it's a fairly inoffensive DNA. It's so clean and soapy and fresh. I think it's very mass appealing, so most people are going to like it. So I think this is predominantly going to be for young people, maybe teenagers, students, that kind of thing. But if you're young at heart, you can still very much enjoy wearing this one. What do you think? Who do you think's wearing this?
Yeah, I think, as you say, it is a versatile fragrance. Anyone can wear this, but factoring in the fact that this is a much cheaper version of Sauvage as well, I think this is someone young, possibly someone at college. You know, I know in the UK, in the toilets, in the clubs and stuff there, they have these people sell, you know, basically working on tips, and they've got fragrances, and they say things like no spray, no lay. I can imagine if anyone's heard that phrase, they're probably going to be applying this fragrance. They're going to be looking for compliments. They're going to be trying to like hit on some ladies that really should run a mile. And that's, a young guy, like early 20s, I think, is going to be wearing this. And it probably will pick up compliments. But as I say, I think easily somebody could wear this all the way through 30s, 40s, etc. But I think predominantly 20s, probably quite a cool guy, or conversely, someone that just wants to be cool and wants to get compliments.
Yeah. The only issue I can see with this fragrance is that in the air, I think most people are going to recognise it as Sauvage. Even if someone doesn't exactly know what Sauvage is, they're going to recognise the smell. They'll have smelled it around. They'll probably smelled it on other people. So the only problem with that, just like Aventus clones, really, they perhaps lose some of their unique qualities because it does smell so similar to probably the most popular fragrance on the planet at the moment. So that is slight downside to this fragrance. But, you know, if you want to smell Sauvage-like, you want something strong and something that is cheaper than Sauvage, I think we're looking at around about $30 to $40 for this 105ml bottle. It's a good option if you're happy that you're going to probably smell like quite a lot of other people.
I think I agree with that. It's a banging value for money. It's top notch because it performs really well. It smells really good. And you will get compliments. But as I say, if you're a frag head, you're going to be disappointed because you just smell like Sauvage. Where, again, just to arc back to Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, I do think that smells similar to Sauvage, but someone that's a little bit more into fragrances could certainly tell the difference. So
I think it's a good point, not for frag heads. I think most frag heads will be running a mile from this one. Most serious frag heads, you know, collectors who very much lean into niche fragrances, they're going to hate the ambroxan, they're going to hate the soapiness, the mass appealing, crowd pleasing nature of this one. So yeah, not for frag heads, but for anyone who sort of likes fragrance casually and just wants to smell pretty awesome.
Agreed. So, Brian, here's the question. Is this a skip?
Sample it.
Or are you going to buy it?
Well, for me, Mick, it's going to be a sample. I have other fragrances, as we've mentioned, that smell very similar. So I think I would like to wear this from time to time. And I would like a little sample just there on the shelf to have access to whenever I was in the mood for it. So I'm going sample. How about you?
I actually agree with you. I mean, we're talking shit because I actually did buy it, but I blind bought it. But I did, because of the issues I mentioned earlier, the fact that it gets a little bit annoying and I prefer Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, I did actually flip this bottle and I sold it on. But somebody was asking me, I would recommend a sample, depending on where you are on your fragrance journey. I think try this because you might love it, but in reality, if you're a frag head, it's going to be a skip. So yeah, if you're not a frag head, sample. If you are a frag head, probably skip.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Yeah, good summing up.
Before we wrap up and finish off, you've smelt some of the other sort of new flankers as well, haven't you? Do you want to give us a little summary of what they are and what you think of them? Yeah,
so we got Club de Nuit. And that's do you say nuit or nuit?
I try and say it like a French person and say nuit. I say nuit. A bit of both, I think, but nuit, sort of nuit.
Nuit, nuit. I think my accent says nuit a lot.
Yeah, but I think that's...
I always get people on YouTube correcting me, saying, no, you've said it wrong again. You've said nuit, and they write it Nwee.
Yeah, that's how I would say phonetically. Yeah, that's how I would say phonetically.
But because in my mind, whenever I say the word nuit, I have to stop, edit myself before I say it. So I always end up saying it weirdly anyway. It's like Club de Nuit Intense.
It's like that thing when some people overemphasize the French accent, don't they?
Yeah.
Club de Nuit. It's like really weird, but yeah.
Club de Nuit. Anyway, we have. Yeah, Iconic, which smells very similar to Bleu de Chanel. And I would have expected this to have been a low-rent version of Bleu de Chanel, because we all know that Bleu de Chanel quality is pretty much unmatched, unrivaled. It's one of the things that Chanel is most well known for. They've got this Chanel quality. Well, fuck me sideways. Somehow, Armaf have managed to replicate this Chanel quality. They've got the smoothness of blend. It just smells like a quality fragrance. It smells like quality material.
Which version of Bleu de Chanel is it smelling like?
I'd say the EDP if I had to pick one.
I've just realised as we're American, we should probably say Bleu de Chanel as well.
Bleu de Chanel.
Bleu de Chanel is how we say it in America.
Yes, well, we
but,
just
everyone else in the world says Bleu de Chanel like it's actually supposed to be said. But anyway. So it smells a bit like the EDP if you had to pick one.
A bit like the EDP, and not only have they managed to replicate the Chanel quality, but they've somehow, I think, improved on the performance, because again, for me, it's a bit of a beast. I can wear this all day and it's still burning brightly towards the end of the day. It's still going strong. It's got the clackers that I love so much. So if you want...
You do love some meaty clackers.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want a slightly better performing version of Bleu de Chanel, then I would highly recommend Iconic, because I think it's lovely. I think they've done a great job. Again, jury's out on the bottle, but when you go out into the public, you're not parading around with the bottle, are you? It's the smell that's the important thing. So yes. Thumbs up from me. Loving it. I've actually chosen to wear it for the gym on a few occasions because it's just perfect as a gym scent, and I enjoy it. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to keep spraying this. It genuinely has become one of those fragrances at the moment that I'm reaching for fairly often. So thumbs up. And of course, we've got Club de Nuit Untold, which is sort of, well, pretty much Baccarat Rouge 540. So you got the cotton candy, you got a bit of fur resin, and it's good. It's probably similar in terms of performance, perhaps a little spikier than Baccarat Rouge. It's got a little more pop to it, a little more zing to it, but I think that's done on purpose. I think it's intentional, because I don't know if it is a hybrid, but I feel like there's something else going on in there. Someone mentioned, there's a little bit of Aventus in the background, and they might be right. Maybe that's what's just giving it that little bit of extra pop, little bit of extra zing. But I love it, because I always smell Baccarat Rouge, and as much as I love it, I always think, that's such a good fragrance to sort of add a few more notes to, and that's exactly what Armaf have done. Of course, they're not the first to create a hybrid using Baccarat Rouge 540, but the way they've done it, it works. They've done a good job. Great performance, very sexy, mass appealing fragrance, but not in a designery way like Urban Man Elixir, in a very high quality, niche kind of way, but the sort of niche fragrance that people are going to love.
We're not going to do this for each of these, but who's wearing that one? Because is it a bit more unisex, would you say, with that Baccarat Rouge 540, or is it?
It's definitely more unisex. Yeah, we associate that Sauvage smell as a more masculine fragrance only because it's marketed, Dior market that to men. But yeah, certainly more unisex. Anyone could wear this. It doesn't lean feminine, it doesn't lean masculine. It's right there in the middle for me. And I would say a little older than Urban Man Elixir. And even Iconic, I think probably 30 upwards is about the right age for pulling off Untold. And this is just going to be a perfect sort of date fragrance or intimate occasion type fragrance. It's got enough of the clackers to really work as a formal occasion fragrance as well. So it has got a great versatility, and I really enjoyed it, I've got to say. I don't own Baccarat Rouge 540, and I just feel like I don't have a need to own it, especially now having a bottle of Untold.
Have you smelt Thomas Kosmala number 4, which is
nope.
Baccarat? So again, very similar to Baccarat Rouge 540, but it's a little bit more masculine. I'd say it's more of a masculine take on Baccarat Rouge 540. It's still unisex, but more masculine, I would say. A bit more kind of sort of woody, but still sweet. But fuck me, that thing is strong. That is nuclear. It's got the meatiest of all the clackers. Wow. That fragrance. Oh. You have to, like one spray, you're good. Anecdotally, there's lots of stories in Facebook groups, etc. People kind of, getting complaints from work from their colleagues, going, your fragrance is too strong, or if you smell that from across the room. So it's it's beastly, very expensive, but to be fair, it will probably last a lifetime because you don't need to spray much. But yeah, if anyone's interested in Baccarat Rouge 540, a bit more of a masculine version, and you want absolutely meatiest, clackiest, nuclear performance, try Thomas Kosmala number 4.
Oh god, that sounds great. Bring on all those clackers. Love it. Now you're talking my language. And I think probably off that glowing recommendation, there'll be a lot of people Googling that now, Mick.
Well, indeed. But I think that's it. I think that's our time, isn't it? I think we've that covers the full range.
I think so. Of the newest releases, anyway.
We're spoiling y'all with a few fragrances in one there, so treat yourselves. But yes, we hope you've enjoyed. So that's April Fool's episode. It's been a little bit different, but who knows? Perhaps it might be a regular thing.
Some may say an improvement.
I think it's improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, the language and the enunciation is much better in this version. Anyway, until next time,
Spray
it up, y'all.